welcome back here to Salt Lake City, Utah, to the Sports Mall for the Race for 8, brought to you by Simple Green and the world players of handball. Vic Perez serving to Charlie Shanks to start off this men's round of 16. And the very first one is a point. Vic Perez was drafted to the Tucson Gunslingers earlier today.
Great pickup for them. This is the newcomer versus the newest newcomer. Charlie Shanks exploded onto the scene this year in Idaho. Now it's Vic Perez qualifying for the first time. He also made an explosion, Dave, defeating the #1 seed in the qualifier, the Minnesota Dreamboat, Andy Nett.
Look at that ball, just natural hook into that left wall. Now at 3-0 is Vic Perez.
Vic Perez is the most improved player I've ever seen, Dave, in handball. I know that Vic's not the first, but Vic Perez lost to my dad in a tournament 3 years ago. And here he is qualifying in the pro, defeating Andy Nett. So just to give you a little bit of a background.
1 serving 3.
On where he's started and where he's come.
Was this a pinochle tournament or an actual handball?
That was the George Miller. That's a big tournament in the Midwest. A lot of history there.
Side out.
And a nice get right there from Perez. This is his first attempt at rally scoring here
4 serving 1.
on the Race for 8. It's really tough for the qualifiers. If you can get through those couple rounds, then all of a sudden you're into a foreign scoring system that you would have never probably practiced any other time in your life. So it's a rare error. First of all, he gets the money because he's a qualifier, but now he also has that pressure of trying to figure out this rally scoring format.
Nice left from Vic Perez there. And he's jumping all over Charlie Shanks here.
6 serving 1.
Charlie Shanks telling me he hasn't been playing much handball since Atlanta. He's sort of a mystery man, Dave. We don't really know what he does between tournaments, but he's been at every tournament, excited to play.
See Vic Perez really rotate his hips through the strike zone.
Charlie Shanks hits one of the heaviest balls that I've ever seen, David. What I mean by that is his ball just sort of pushes you back. It's got a lot on it.
And now another point for Victor Perez. Went to LFC College under the tutelage of Mike Down. If you're talking about one of the reasons why this young kid is so able to be so good after just a 3-year period, one of those reasons is Coach Dow.
Replay, 7 serving 1.
Originally from Southern California. Now he's back there again playing at the Los Angeles Athletic Club. Played street handball as a kid growing up. No 4-wall. Then he went to college and converted to 4-wall, and now he's playing in a hotbed in the Los Angeles Athletic Club. And I guess you too would probably get better if your sparring partners were Marco Chavez and Vince Munoz and
formerly Sun Lee and Nick Leinahorniak.
Well, that's in LFC. Yeah, you're right, formerly.
So he's had some of the best crop of talent to spar with daily. Would you rival that, Dave, with being able to play in Tucson?
Replay, 2 serving 7.
Well, the thing about those guys that you mentioned are all pretty much the same age, and they all hang out together.
Side out.
Great thing about Tucson is you've got national champions from every age bracket all the way to 80.
8 serving 2.
Kind of pick your poison there.
Vic Perez looks really good right now.
Side out.
There's the announcer's curse. But up until that shot, Dave, he's been extremely steady. Charlie Shanks has made some errors.
I like it when the curse happens while you're actually talking about it. The real announcer's curse is you say it and then it doesn't happen. But this is while you haven't even finished the sentence. That's how tuned in God is with handball.
Hold it.
I think. Or maybe it's Murphy. I'm not sure who. But some higher deity that is involved with the announcer cursing mechanism.
3
Kind of wishing that whoever that person was would have mute my microphone during that little explanation.
I was actually enjoying it and learning from it.
9 serves 3.
Referee is Jonathan Hingy, who was a rival of Victor Perez when he played against him at the collegiates and will play against him. Or I mean, did play against him last year with Mo State.
Vic Perez is the current collegiate doubles national champion. Beautiful shot from Charlie Shanks. He's also an All-American. Do you still call yourself an All-American up until the conclusion of the next year's collegiate nationals? I don't know if that title remains for his whole year, or when you graduate from college, you're no longer an All-American.
I say yes.
Okay, maybe it's like boxing. When you win the title, you're always the champ. If I was ever an All-American, I would introduce myself as such forever.
Side out.
Charlie Shanks looks sloppy right now. He told me yesterday, Dave, that he's not comfortable in this court. And you saw Charlie Shanks in Fresno, Dave, really struggle on that left side glass. This isn't as bad, but he just says he's not picking up the ball well at all. Remember, Dave, Vic Perez defeated Chip Morales. Chip Morales defeated Charlie Shanks. So by handball logic, do you call that transitive property?
Timeout.
You do call it that, but it does. I don't think that adds up.
5-10.
Score is 5-10 with Victor Perez leading here, and he's just going to stay on the court, which I think is a smart move for him. There's no distractions this way. Right now he's in a zone. He has a very smooth game. I like his style, and that is he is a server, and he is also a first striker. But if that first strike opportunity isn't there, he will go into a two-wall pass or some type of wraparound game. It's very smart. I like his style of game, and I wouldn't say he's a get artist, but he does get to balls, keep him alive. He's young and sprite.
I actually would call him a get artist.
Okay.
He's got Luis Cordova's right hand. He's a little bit steady with his left hand. Plays his left hand almost like a shield. Doesn't end a lot of rallies with it, but plays very good defense and neutralizes rallies very well with his left. He also seems to be very fit, Dave, from what we've
10
seen.
seconds.
He played two extremely fit guys yesterday, wore both of them down. Anthony Celesto and the Minnesota Dreamboat, Andy Nett. And here he is, seemingly wearing Charlie Shanks down. Charlie Shanks in his first match of the week already looking a little bit winded, not even halfway through this first game.
5-10.
This is Vic Perez's third match now in 24 hours.
Charlie looking to the right, which means he'll serve to the left, usually. There it is.
Point.
Most revolving doors are a little bit more easy to hit, but here, this revolving door kind of has a strange window. Kind of peeps around. You look back there and you see so many different angles and weird movements of the ball because it's two-sided glass. It's like going into the Halloween amusement park where you have the House of Windows.
Charlie Shanks with a great back wall kill. It's the best shot that he's hit thus far in the match. And that's an amazing shot from Vic Perez. He uses the spin coming off the left side wall, back wall, lets the ball run through his hand and rolls it out in the right corner.
11 serves 7.
Really a crafty shot. And Charlie Shanks with a terrible backhanded fist attempt. And we've seen him try that in the past, Dave, and I don't know if that's a bad habit. Certainly wouldn't be something that he practices.
12 serves 7.
Charlie spends about 4 hours in the court the day before every event. I've never seen him practicing that shot, though. But he uses it a lot.
We do see it a lot. Maybe practices when it happens live.
Well, it could be like RFC, who only practices shots he'll never use in a match.
Oh, look at that shot right there. Charlie fading away, and he clips the corner. Side out and a point.
Vic has to feel good about pushing Charlie back with the ball up around his chest. Charlie wins that rally, but can Charlie consistently end rallies from that position on the court? the percentages would say no. Now Charlie Shanks plays a different game.
Short ball.
And now Charlie, Dave, going to a lob serve. And we know that the strength of his game is that amazing serve. And that's the third error that Vic Perez has made in that back left corner. So Charlie Shanks now at 9.
9 serves 12.
1/3 of Charlie Shanks' points now have come on Vic Perez errors in that back left glass.
Point.
And you know that Charlie Shanks is going to execute a number of those in each game. So Vic cannot afford to give Charlie points with errors in those back corners. And Vic moved his feet really nicely there, Dave. Jumped out of the way, moved to his left, had a very easy setup in that right corner and put it in the ground. Charlie Shanks was nowhere to be seen for a pickup there. Very frustrating miss for Vic Perez. And in rally scoring, Dave, instead of it being 13-10 with Vic Perez's serve, it became 11-12. Now Vic Perez does end that rally with a drive down the right side wall, and he builds that lead back up to 2.
I don't think Vic Perez is too concerned with the stardom of Charlie Shanks. He's playing against the finalist of the U.S. Open right here, and he has 13-11. You see a lot of young players a little nervous. Look at that shot right there from Vic Perez as he dives in and gets that great little punch fist from Charlie Shanks.
It was an amazing return from Charlie Shanks and an even better pickup and re-kill from Vic Perez.
That's going to be too big, I believe, and it is. You see Perez telling himself to keep that ball down. There's a fine line between hitting that revolving door a little too high. You hit it high, and you're dead because that ball comes out so far that your opponent pins you to one side of the court or the other. You get pinned, and then you're pretty much done from that point. You don't have to hit a kill shot. You just need a good driving pass shot. But if you can keep it low, then it's hard to spin around with those big, long legs. I mean, I think Vic is playing it smart and trying to get Charlie to go around the revolving door.
Hold it.
Good call there from our referee. Charlie looks back, but I agreed with the call.
He's almost 6'3". And when you have to move those legs around the revolving door, very hard to do if it's quick and low.
Short. Second serve.
I would say Vic Perez's Sun Lee meets Luis Cordova, if that makes any sense. It does to me.
I haven't seen Vic look back at the cameras and make faces or anything like that. Maybe that part of Sun Lee you're not talking about.
I'm talking about the Sun Lee in dark matches when he's not being webcasted.
Well, I see a little Aaron Garner.
Point.
And Luis Cordova.
Interesting.
Serves 14.
A terrible error there from Vic Perez. A great opportunity. He'll take a timeout. I think that's a smart timeout.
Score is 14-14.
Charlie has not located his serve at all, and that's the reason I believe that he went to that lob serve midway through this first game. He went back to the power serve there and gave Vic a huge setup about 15 feet off the back wall, and Vic shanks the ball straight into the floor.
Vic Perez still has a lead here in game number 1. It's best 2 out of 3, 225. And you have to win by 2 rally scoring, which means there's a point virtually on every single rally except for those shorts and hinders and balls that would be overturned, or I mean played again if it was traditional scoring.
20 seconds.
You heard that 20-second call from Jonathan Hingy, referee for this match.
Jonathan's doing a nice job here, Dave, in his first ever pro reffing debut. He's got nice
14,
command.
serves 14.
He's picked a couple of good guys to become initiated by. These guys are two of the great gentlemen in the sport. I don't think I've ever heard either of them say anything.
Point.
I've heard Charlie Shanks speak, I just never understood what he was saying.
15, 14. Point.
Vic Perez will not appeal that serve. I thought it looked like it might have been inside the line, Dave, but
16, 14.
the referee, oh, and Vic now does appeal the serve.
Appeal. Called it short. I called it short, or I called it good. You agree with it's good? Call stands, it's good. You call short. What was yours? Or what was yours? Short, second serve.
And Vic, in the 11th hour, does appeal, and the call is overturned. And look at what a difference. Instead of Charlie Shanks with an ace, it's Vic Perez with the front wall, sidewall, crack out, side out point. That's a lot to say.
15, 15.
Is it altogether at 15 or 15-16?
I believe it's 15 all. We'll find out after this rally. And Vic Perez loads up, shows that unbelievable upper body strength there.
16, 15.
Charlie Shanks walks into this match not ever even hearing of Vic Perez before. I mean, they were at the same tournament in Fresno, but I don't think that Charlie was there at the time that
Point.
Vic lost in that final against Carlos Chavez.
Charlie was there. He lost to Chip Morales in that event.
He was there, but I don't know if he saw
17,
the match. The only time he really
Okay.
could have seen Vic play. That ball looked like it was short. No call. Let's see what this ball does.
And
Side out.
another air there from Vic Perez with the left hand in that back glass. And that's 4 points that he's handed
16,
Charlie
17.
Shanks on just complete whiffs.
Well, that was a little different than a complete whip. That ball met the side wall.
Well, I agree. I think that's a ball that Vic still can return. Easy to say here. Charlie Shanks goes for the pass, but doesn't catch the sidewall far enough behind Vic, and now we've reset the rally here.
I like that shot right there. A lot of goosey play from that ball.
That's a Carlos Chavez shot. Dave Vincent special, even.
Well, that's why I like it.
Big hop from Charlie during the rally, and Vic saying it hit his leg, but Charlie breaks over the top of that ball with his left hand during the rally, Dave, and that's something that Charlie Shanks does extremely well. I'm not sure that ball breaks as much as a Jimmy Jacobs 2-foot breaker either way with either hand during a rally, but it's about a
17,
foot,
serve 17.
and that ball jumping right into Vic's leg.
Charlie with that big left goes for the corner.
I don't
Charlie's
like that.
in for a battle here, Dave.
Well, I agree with you, but I don't like that
Side out.
left corner pinch shot from Charlie from the back court. He pinches the corner and loses control of the rally.
18, 17.
Beautiful shot from Vic Perez. It looked like he lost sight of the ball there, Dave. He picked it up and rolls it out 3 inches high. And now that's his third shoe tie since he's been in the court. I know you're marking that down, Dave, on your sheet. And I know you've studied people that tie their shoes excessively. You might get into that or you might not, but I'm just reporting to you. I don't know if you
19,
saw that
serve
last
17.
No, I saw,
shoe.
I saw it,
Okay.
and I do, and I know it's strange, but I do like to read about people and their feet, but I'm not into that sort of thing. I just, I'm
Well, it's not a
intrigued.
fetish. It's just
No,
you want
I'm
to learn.
intrigued by people who have the intriguement, and I see when people get down and tie their shoes a lot, it makes me laugh, kind of giggle
17.
sometimes
Yeah.
out loud. So I've turned that giggling into a positive experience. I get on the internet and I research it and go down to the library and find out why people tie their shoes so much. Samantha England is a shoe tyer, so is Emmett Pachot. Vic Perez falls in that category.
Vic Perez with a laser down that right side wall, and Charlie Shanks has to be thinking that this guy has to cool off, but he's not cooling off. He's just keeps charging. You know, Dave, there's so much nervousness and anxiousness at the draw party that takes place after the final qualifier. The qualifiers picking who they'll be facing in the first round, and you never take anybody lightly, but certainly if you had a choice yesterday, you'd think you'd want to draw Vic Perez. He's the newcomer on the scene. He's unheralded, but he's showing, Dave, that not only is he a tough out, but you might be going home
pass off your line judge job
by facing him.
Oh, I thought I asked you before. Oh, okay. So it's you guys sitting right next to each other?
You're watching the WPH
15 seconds.
Simple Green race for 8. This is stop number 6. We have had 5 great stops along the way, and this is proven to be another great one here in Salt Lake City, Utah. Sponsors Ace Outdoors, as well as Ace Disposal and Dewey's Bail Bonds. I want to thank them, as well as Mintech, Tucson Rolling Shutters, First Star
Big
Sports,
serve.
and Zions,
21
as well
serve,
as the World
17.
Players of Handball and the namesake Simple Green Cleaning Products.
Charlie needs to let that ball drop, Dave.
Side out.
And Vic Perez makes a terrible error there. That's a tough ball, though, Dave, when the
18
ball is
serves,
spiked
21.
right at you and it's on the rise, pushes you back. It's hard to really do anything with that ball.
Point.
This is the time of the match here where Perez needs to get a little luck, have a lot of skill, and make no hand errors. He just
19
gave
serves, 21.
Shanks 2 straight points here. One on the side out, one with the next point. And then Shanks
Side
hits the
out.
ball on the ground, and Perez at 22. This is an unbelievable score line here with Perez playing like Armando Ortiz
22
did back
serves,
at the
19.
Tucson pre-race event in April. This could be a Cinderella story.
That's the curse of the Irish, Dave, are those balls right into the ground. 2 in a row now from Charlie Shanks, one of them on his serve. And now he's pretty much handed Vic Perez this game. We haven't seen anybody
23
in
serves,
rally
19.
scoring get to 21 first and lose the game. That time Charlie rights the ship with a beautiful off-speed left-hand reverse that rides that right side wall.
Serves, 23.
And Charlie
Side out.
with a very low percentage shot there, Dave. I'm not sure that's the right shot to
Possible
hit when
game
you're
point,
trailing
serves
20-23. He didn't have his feet set under him, and he goes for broke.
This is possible game match.
And that's a great
Side
shot
out.
from Charlie. Not a good serve from Vic Perez there. That was more of a, I hope he misses
Yeah,
serve.
playing it
21
safe
serves,
serve.
24.
But that was Charlie using that left hand, shooting out of can. He's going to serve back down to that right side there. That ball really checks up. And Vic is able to
game.
flip it back,
3
and then
minutes.
he wins the first game right there on that strange in-the-ground shot from Charlie Shanks.
Well, that was the best serve Charlie had hit in the entire game. That ball reversing into the right side wall. Vic taking it off balance with his left hand, and Charlie from 8 feet puts the ball in the floor. Hands Vic Perez that game with 3 terrible errors in the last 5 points.
We are going to take a quick timeout. We'll be back in 2 minutes here for game number 2 for race for 8, stop number 6, Salt Lake City, Utah. Stick around for Dave Fink. My name is Dave Vincent here at racefor8.com.
Yeah. What you need, Matt? What you need?
Oh, you guys aren't doing that?
Can we help you up? Matt, did you call me? What? What's your? Brandon, you gotta open it. Did you see what Marco sent me? He's like,
1 minute. They're both going to be late. 20 seconds. Am I fired yet? All right, second game, it'll be Charlie serve. 0 serving 0.
And we are back live here in Salt Lake City, Utah. 0 serve 0. Charlie Shanks losing that first one to Vic Perez.
Charlie Shanks, Dave, was upset that he only had
1 serve 0.
3 or 4 minutes to warm up.
We actually had 12 minutes on our stopwatch on this court. He said he only had 2 minutes to warm up, but there's 8 courts in the back that are all open. But he loses that first game to Vic Perez in a great upset on that first one, although it's not over with here, and Vic is going to have a huge mountain to climb because Charlie is
Side out.
an upset puppy right now.
And Charlie does not play well when he's upset, and you saw that in the first game. He looked a little bit off, Dave, and
1 serves 1.
now we see why. But Dave, playing so much handball, I know you have as well. When you get in the court after a point or two, you're not even thinking about not being warmed up. It's just
Second serve.
you're playing.
I've never even thought about it. Ever.
Most of the time,
This is the
I
first
get
time I've ever heard anybody say that before.
most of the time I get to the club, I hit the ball 3 times, maybe twice with each hand, and I start playing. I've never thought about not being warmed up. Now everybody's different though, so we will give Charlie the benefit of the doubt. It's just, I know you and I.
I've
have
never even
never-
heard anybody ever say that they were upset because they only had 12 minutes to warm up instead of 15 when they've got a whole facility that's 25,000 square feet with 8 courts that you can warm up anytime with all the equipment around here that's free to use. And I've never heard that before, but because I am the better person,
2
I
serves 1.
walked over to Charlie when he was by himself just now, and I grabbed a hold of him and said, come on,
Point.
man, don't let that affect you. Get in there and you play. We're rooting for you. Come on. Even though you and I are unbiased and we're really not rooting, but I wanted him to know
3 serves 1.
that he needs to go
Why
out there
haven't
and
you
put
ever done
beam
that
in
for
him.
me? I've never seen you come over to me and tell me that you're rooting for me.
Well, that was because of an incident in Toledo.
In which you were completely blameless.
That's right. Look at this weird play back there in the back wall, and Vic Perez is unable to dig it out. I just figured that I was there courtside rooting you on during the whole match, and when you lost, you blamed me for it. So
2
even the
serves
beer
3.
truck couldn't hide me in Toledo.
2 serves 3.
Good point.
2 to 3. I figured since you don't drink alcohol, that was a safe place to hide.
It's down.
The old Dave Fink, as you would say, knows where everyone is, in the crowd
4 serves 2.
and not in the crowd. The new Dave Fink is only concerned with the next point. That's the difference.
Short ball, good call from referee Jonathan
Short ball.
Hingy. This is game number 2. Vic Perez wins the first one, 25 to 21, which is an upset
I called it
right
short.
there. Although this
1 agrees.
match is not
2
over
agree.
with.
Both. Call
by any
stand. Second
means.
serve. Point.
Another great shot from Vic Perez.
Stick your finger up if you're not line judge.
He just looks so much in
5 serves
control.
2.
just plays so much within himself, Dave. And that's all you can really ask of yourself. Stay in your comfort zone, and if that's good enough to win,
that's right,
then you win. If it's not, you just try and improve and come back the next time. But so many guys, Dave, come to these events and they feel like they need to be something that they're not. They need to take more chances or shoot the ball more with their left. Vic Perez knows his strengths and he plays to them. And look at that great shot from Vic Perez. That's not an easy shot, Dave, as the ball's up around his chest.
So to
Sixers 3.
Score there, 6-3. Referee says it's a beautiful show court here in Salt Lake City, and they're really showing the world really how to put on a great handball tournament. Ran by the Stalsberg, Lonnie Stalsberg, Melissa, his daughter-in-law, and son Matt Stalsberg, as well as Ruben Garza and Dom Sinone. Want to thank them. And there's a side out.
It's an absolutely amazing tournament here.
It really is. I mean, very similar to the Jake Plummer Hell of a Handball Bash, if you are one of the limited few that have been able to get in before the entry deadline. And
the only difference I see, Dave, is this club is world class. This is one of the best places I've ever played handball in my life.
Side out.
Absolutely phenomenal. We're fortunate to be staying at the Crystal Inn, which is also
8 serves
incredible.
4.
Nice adjustment there from Vic, and he keeps the rally alive.
Side out.
Almost flips the ball into the back wall to the front wall.
5 serves 8.
There's something about that shot, Dave, when the ball is flipped into the back wall and hits the front wall. It just seems to come into this awkward, annoying, neutralizing position where you can't do anything with it. Now this is a big setup, and Charlie Shanks finds that right crack.
Charlie needs to get that serve and strike game going here. Right now he's trying to win these rallies with one of these young pups. 6-8 is the score with Charlie Shanks down in the first one, 25-21. Earlier today we saw some great fireworks when Luis Cordova took on Armando Ortiz, defeated him 25-19, and then get this, 29-17 in the second game as it went overtime.
29-27.
29-27, sorry, and you have to win by 2. That's an unbelievable score line, which we've never witnessed that. In fact, no one's ever made it to the 30s yet, but we almost had one here. It took Cordova serving 5 times at game point.
Side out.
I think if Charlie was warmed up more.
Well, I was thinking the same thing, because I see him practicing that shot a lot in warm-ups. So he certainly would have been more prepared to hit that shot. In all fairness, Dave, a typical warm-up is 10 minutes. These guys were given 12. And Vic Perez with a bad air there. Charlie Shanks has been the enigma of the tour, Dave. He's the only guy that's lost in every round in race for 8 play.
7 serves 9.
He was 2 points from winning the most lucrative tournament of the season at the U.S. Open, losing 11-9 in the finals in the tiebreaker to the Buzzsaw. And he's also been knocked out in the first round. That was in Fresno at race stop number 4 against Chip Morales. Here he's in danger of losing in the first round again. He's almost like the Phil Mickelson of the tour, Dave. Phil Mickelson can miss the cut one week, finish 50th the next, and then win the tournament the very next week.
8-9.
Sort of like the score line that, or sort of the history that Andy Nett was sort of on, where he was starting to emerge as being this major contender to be an elite player, and then all of a sudden started losing in qualifiers. As a guy that was, I think, at one point ranked 8th or close to it.
I believe Andy Nett at one time was 6th in the race standings, and now he'll
still have good ranking in the standings probably, but losing in a qualifier is not helpful.
Well, he's lost in the last 2 of the last 3 qualifiers, and when he did qualify in the last stop in Atlanta, lost
20
in the round of
seconds.
16. So he's on what we call a losing streak. He's trending the wrong way.
I don't see him hanging out at the courts at all today.
10 seconds.
He made the long train ride with his dad and younger brother. They were on the train from Minneapolis, I believe, for 16 hours to come to this event.
On what train? Amtrak?
I believe.
The Empire Builder? Sorry that I know that. There's only about 3 people.
I flew in from Minneapolis. It took me about 2 hours on a connection, but I guess some people like the experience of the journey. It's the destination, not the journey.
Sitting play scores
Or did
8,
I say
serves
that
9.
wrong?
I think you said it wrong.
Well,
I
you
think
know
you
what
said
I
it
meant.
right for you.
Okay.
You said it the way I would have assumed you would.
Okay. And that's a
That
broken
ball's
ball.
Broken.
Replay. Broken ball.
Jonathan Hingy doing an excellent job here, Dave, in his debut.
Very impressed. He also won a tournament recently, and so he's put a little blip on our radar.
He's one of these up-and-coming guys, Dave, and we'll see him next weekend in Springfield, Missouri, playing for the Collegiate National Championship, and he'll be the top-seeded American in the men's draw at the Collegiate Nationals. He had a very difficult qualifier draw here. He drew Emmett Peixote in the first round, and
Replay. 8 serves 9.
maybe could have done some damage here had he not drawn the former #1 pro, but I'm sure he'll be back. Actually led Emmett Peixote 8-0 in that game to 25, but Emmett came back and showed why he's one of the top players in the world, winning comfortably.
Point.
I think Vic was trying to be a little bit too perfect on
Look,
that
he
back
was-
wall shot. He could have played that safe and went with a 2-wall wrap or something.
9
Well, it
serves
looked like
9.
he misjudged it. He thought that ball was coming out a little farther than it was, and he ended up way out in front of it. Really didn't have any swing on it.
Side out.
Charlie misses that ball with his left into the ground.
Well, Charlie was too close to the ball there. He hits the ball a
10
little bit
serves
closer
9.
to himself with his right hand because he goes to a modified Irish whip, but with his left he extends a lot more, and that time he tried to go with an Irish whip with his left, not his shot. In fact, I'm not sure the Irish whip with their off hands, Dave.
Side out.
That's something that you will see at the World Championships this year in Ireland. I don't know if you and I will still be able to continue to coexist that far into the future,
10
so I don't
serves
like
10.
to make those kind of plans.
Well, I hear things.
TTH was telling me last night, Dave, that, and there's a beautiful tomahawk kill. That's the Carlos Chavez, Marco Chavez influence on Vic Perez. Unbelievable shot.
Love to see the replay of that shot right there if we had it from that balcony look down.
But apparently, Dave, at the
11
World
serves
Championships, there'll be 8 courts built on the ground level.
Watch this play right here.
Short.
That's the first one. Here's the next one that comes back there. Just into that corner.
And
Squelches
Charlie
that thing
Shanks
out.
losing it for a split second,
Second
but
serve.
8 courts on the ground, and then a show court on top of those 8 courts with an arena surrounding the whole thing, potentially thousands of people able to look into that 3-glass court.
Point.
Unbelievable. It's going to be a great setting for handball if everything turns out the way that they have planned.
12 serves 10.
Maybe one of the greatest things ever.
Well, I know that the last World Championships was one of the best events I've ever been to of any kind, and I'm including all sports. And Charlie Shanks not able to adjust to
just
that
doesn't-
Vic Perez kill, front wall, side wall. Charlie Shanks unable to get his feet moving quickly enough.
He just doesn't seem warmed up to me.
Well, Charlie Shanks takes a long time to warm up, and
13 serves 10.
I think that might be something he needs to
Short.
address.
Ball was short. Vic has a lazy natural hook
Second serve.
but it's effective if the opponent lets the ball go to the back wall. Charlie steps in.
I think Vic, Dave, conserves so much energy by taking a lot off of his shots. He only loads up when he really has to try and win the point. You don't see him blasting the ball as hard as he can.
Wow, that was a nice shot.
That was a beautiful shot. And that's an amazing shot, and Charlie Shanks with a great get, but Vic Perez wisely following that in. Dave, he knows when Charlie Shanks is stretched out, just flipping the ball back into the court. He's running towards the front wall, because all you can really do from that position, Dave, is just barely flip the ball back. You see a lot of guys hanging back and the ball rolls out in front of them. Vic Perez running in, closing
14-10.
quickly and re-killing with his left hand.
Charlie Shanks seen courtside here, actually in the gallery, taking a breather. This elevation certainly has to be working havoc on Charlie Shanks, who's taking a breather here.
There's a good friend of mine, that gentleman with the blondish hair.
20 seconds.
Why are you guys friends?
We had a nice moment together in 2008 during the bike tour. We actually became better acquainted in the parking lot.
10 seconds.
Now we're back into play here. Listen for the
Resuming
ref.
play, scores 14-10.
Vic Perez pushing that ball up, plays good defensive game, coupled with some terrible mistakes from Charlie Shanks and his own good fortunes. Vic is now leading 15-10 after winning the first one 25-21.
15 serves 10.
Vic isn't allowing Charlie Shanks to play that ground and pound game that he loves to play. He's showing Charlie so many different looks, Dave, almost like a pitcher that mixes up the speeds.
And another point for
And that's
Vic
what he's
Perez.
doing to Charlie Shanks. He's throwing change-ups and sliders and fastballs. Charlie Shanks just cannot get comfortable right now.
16 serves 10. Short.
There's that backhanded fist.
He would have gone for that shot had that been good.
Second serve.
Wow. That's a side out.
I just don't like seeing guys hitting soft serves that come off the back wall. If you're going to hit a serve that comes off the back wall, at least go for a power serve, and you're at least
11 serves
trying to
16.
be aggressive and going for an ace or an easy setup. But to hit a lob serve that comes off the back wall, Dave, I think is inexcusable. And a nice wrinkle from Vic. He'll step in for the fly kill, but Charlie Shanks now pushes the ball behind Vic.
Side out.
And then he dips that ball into the ground. I thought Charlie was going to win that rally because he picked those balls up and was actually trying.
Well, he would have if he was a little bit more warmed up.
17 serves 11.
Like that play from Vic.
I like it, but I think Vic makes a mistake by not looking back to see where his opponent's hitting the ball. I've seen multiple times where he's facing the front wall and not looking.
I agree with you, Dave, and that's one of those things where that shows you his lack of experience, but yet look at how good he is despite his inexperience. Imagine where this guy's going to be in a year or two of playing pro ball.
Timeout. That's your second. Score is 18-11.
And Dave, I know this is why we love handball so much, is you see these young guys coming up seemingly out of nowhere and establishing themselves. It's great to see young kids that are this motivated and this good taking on, and looks like he's on his way to defeating the guy who's ranked 4th in the race standings this year, Charlie Shanks.
It's unbelievable.
Charlie Shanks is having one of the best years on the tour.
I actually picked Charlie to win the race this year, and unbelievable play right here from Victor Perez.
Now, while we have a minute here, Dave, the top 8 will qualify for Seattle. Does the winner of the race, is that the guy who wins the Players' Championship, or is that the guy with the most combined points through 8 stops?
The most combined points
Okay.
through the 8 stops.
Okay. So you could win the Players' Championship, but not necessarily win the race.
Yeah, but there will be a whole bunch of different scenarios out there that will be known in advance. For example, let's say it's Alan Garner faces you in an opening round of this upper bracket, let's call it round robin.
Play scores
And
18-11.
Alan would say he would have to win that match in order to be guaranteed second place, let's say, if he went on to win the tournament. So there will be a lot of different scenarios and people jockeying for different positions. Let's say if Luis Moreno loses 2 of those round robin matches in that tournament, he could drop out of the number 2, and Nadia Alvarado, Sean Lenning, or even a Charlie Shanks or Alan Garner could take over.
And I'm assuming there'll be more points available at the Players' Championship, potentially double the points?
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
Okay.
Point.
Double the points. You can see some major things flip around. A guy maybe even as far as 4 or 5, not 6 maybe, but maybe 4 or 5 have a chance to winning the race.
19-11.
And then the winner of the race will get bonus points and some other great gifts. Amazing shot there from
one
Vic
of
Perez.
the things that we've talked about, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag, but I'm going to anyway, is that there very well could be a free trip to the World Championship for the winner, and maybe even a few of the race participants.
And what about for winning the team championship? Is there anything for that aside from a lot of towel slapping and butt slapping?
Well, there are some teams that have owners that are going to be involved in that decision making, but I was talking to Lon Stalsberg here in Salt Lake City, and he says, you know, I'm thinking about sending my team to my condo in Maui if they perform well and get within the top 2.
They are the lowly aces, though, so it's going to be a tough mountain to climb.
They've got a lot of team members. So now Vic Perez is representing the Tucson Gunslingers, and so is Charlie Shanks. So they have 2 teammates going up against each other here.
Amazing shot there from Vic Perez, and now he's the first to 21 with a significant lead, Dave. We've never seen a player not come through in this situation with 21 first and this type of significant lead. Remember now, Vic Perez needs to only win 4 rallies compared to Charlie Shanks' 12. So he only has to win about 30% of the remaining rallies to win this match. A lot of pressure now on Charlie Shanks. And Charlie Shanks responds, but an unbelievable shot there, Dave, and that's on the highlight reel. I've already copied and pasted it.
Let's look at that highlight reel. Vic Perez hitting the deck right here, now asking for a towel. And let's see the end of that play brought to you by Pima Medical Institute. Here it is, down and smash against the wall, and it just clips the front wall. And another point for Victor Perez, who looks like he's putting the last few nails in the Charlie Shanks coffin here. This would be a major upset. A guy that was seeded 8th or 9th actually in the qualifier, coming through, defeating the number 1 seed of that qualifier, Andy Nett, and it looks like he's going to take down Charlie Shanks here to go into the quarterfinals.
He drew the toughest guy in the qualifier as far as the rankings went, and now he's drawn the toughest guy he could have drawn in the top 12, which was the 5th ranked Charlie Shanks. Could have drawn number 5, 6, 7, or 8. He drew the toughest guy in both the qualifier and here in the main draw, and he's going to end up taking both these guys out.
And if I was Alan Garner, I'd be a little concerned right now, because that's who Alan's going to have to play at 5 o'clock this afternoon. That's right, Vic Perez will be back on the court again
23, sirs, 13.
at 5 p.m.
Side out.
I just believe that Victor Perez is an amazing athlete.
14, sirs,
Probably
23.
can play a lot of sports. Looks like he's good at soccer. His lateral movement's amazing. Able to just pick that ball up and muscle it to the front wall.
He's got a really good athletic build, too. Very strong back.
And he's a nice guy.
14 serves
That doesn't
23.
really pertain to what I'm talking about.
Well,
But
I will back you up on that. He's one of the nicest guys I've ever met. Very happy to see him doing so well here. And he goes for that Carlos Chavez, we'll call it the Chavez family
15 serves
stiff
23.
arm spin kill, but didn't make it. That shot
like
might
that.
be part of your repertoire, Dave.
well, I do use it.
And Charlie with a
Side out.
terrible hand air there. How can you go for that shot, Dave, when you know that your opponent's just 2 points from winning this match? And Charlie punched the wall there. I've never seen any emotion from Charlie Shanks, even when he lost 11-9 in the
Possible
finals
match
of the
point.
U.S. Open. We
24
saw
serves
some there.
15.
Here it is. Match point. Not a great serve from Perez. Looks like it's a screen, no call from the ref.
Charlie may complain about a screen call, but it's too late.
Oh, and
An
he goes for it
amazing
and
shot
gets it.
there from
Yes.
Vic Perez. And Vic Perez dominates Charlie Shanks here, Dave. And
Charlie-
Charlie's not too quick to shake hands right now, but he will. He's a gentleman.
Charlie Shanks not happy. We've seen him at every single one of the pro stops, and this is one of his worst losses that we have yet to witness, and one of the greatest ones that we've seen so far on this live broadcast. And the crowd giving Victor Perez a round of applause here. Salt Lake City, Utah, as he makes his way toward the camera, and all of his fans appreciating the work that he has put onto this handball court here. Victor Perez taking down Charlie Shanks. Unbelievable play from the Southern California handballer. We have another match coming up right around the corner. In fact, we're going to make way for
Chip Morales and Tommy Little.
oh, Chip and Tommy. That's a good one on paper. Scheduled for 1 o'clock Mountain Time, 12 o'clock Pacific, when we're past that now by about 23 minutes. So in about 7 minutes or so, we'll be right back on with another match coming up right around the corner for Fink, Manning, and Garad. My name is Vincent. We'll be back in just a bit. Stay here at racefor8.com.
Seven 7,000 high school students drop out every school day. That's a line of desks more than 4 miles long. We can keep students in school. Visit boostup.org and take the first step.
What if a disaster strikes without warning? What if life as you know it has completely turned on its head? What if everything familiar becomes anything but? Before a disaster turns your family's world upside down, it's up to you to be ready. Get a kit, make a plan, be informed today. Learn how at ready.gov.
Up, college is hard. Down, those books are heavy.
My sport is football, but my passion is education.
Right up here.
So every year I take promising high schoolers on a college tour
Lights there, darks there.
to show them that higher education means a brighter future. My name is Nnamdi Asamoah. I don't just wear the shirt, I live it.
You can be a reader, tutor, or mentor too. Take the pledge at liveunited.org/volunteer.
Do you wear this?
My name is Bruce Fabrizio. In 1975, I invented Simple Green based on 3 principles. It had to be safer to use, it had to work, and it had to be completely made in America. From generation to generation, Simple Green has been cleaning everything from car engines and tools to kitchen counters and floors. No matter what you clean, indoors or outdoors, clean it with non-toxic, biodegradable Simple Green.